Hello, hello, hello. It has been a while. This is Avery Woodley. Okay, no, this is Same Team Sunday. I am your host, Avery Woodley. Thank you for joining me. I have missed you all so much. Today is going to be good. I have another guest. I actually have my first male guest that is going to be joining us. We'll be talking about the downside of the female empowerment era when it comes to dating and relationships. So I definitely had to bring a guy in on this one because obviously I am a woman and I am not out there dating other women in this era. So I wanted to hear from him, what's going on with all of that, because when I see some of the comments and the things that are out there, I'm like, what is it like for the guys that aren't married, that are not in, committed relationships or engaged or whatever? What is dating like for a man now with the whole boss babe, empowerment, strong, I can do, good on my own? And granted, yes, that has been around for some years, but now more than ever, because of social media and everything else, it's more in our face. And a lot of these agendas and movements are pushing that. So I wanted to hear from somebody that's out there trying to still be a man in this, whole female empowerment space and era. All right. So that is, oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you. That is what we are talking about today. And you guys know I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of fluff and combo in the beginning. But wait, this is the first stream in a minute that has not had any audio problems, right? I'm sure you guys can hear me. Usually it's the audio, it's the camera, it's always something going on. I think I have my camera on this auto thing though, so when I move, but it's always something crazy, going on. This is the first one. So yes, I did want to still go ahead and go live on Mother's Day, because I know people are like, oh, you're gonna do Mother's Day? But yes, because I have been traveling and I have not done a stream in a few weeks, so that's why I wanted to do this one today. And actually, I'm kid free, so why not have this conversation? And plus, I really did miss you all. One of the things I did want to bring up. Oh, thank you, Jordan. Thank you. What is this? Priestley King. Thank you, guys. One of the things I did want to bring up really quick, if you guys are even into this. First thing, did anybody watch the versus battle last night between SWV and Vogue? If you watched that, let me know. Thank you guys for their Mother's Day wishes. If you guys watched that, let me know. So I want to talk about that, well, briefly. If you guys have a preference, let me know in the chat. Also, have any of you guys seen the photos that are out that are getting a lot of attention that Serena Williams took, that she is in? So let me know if you guys have seen those. I should have had it on here so I could have brought it up. But I guess recently she did a photo shoot for a magazine, and there are some questions about her complexion and the makeup and how she looks. And I absolutely love Serena Williams, but I did take the time to look at a lot of the comments that people were putting out there. And it's the whole thing, which I really don't get into, of the color. Her being a brown-skinned woman, and is she bleaching her skin? Is she trying to make herself more, appeasing to other people and trying to fit in? Or does she just need to fire her makeup artist? And I guess she got kind of got attacked for a lot of the photos. I think she took a lot of them down that were on her page. But then if you look at recent photos of her, other photo shoots she has done, she still has her beautiful chocolate skin showing. So I honestly think that she did not bleach her skin, because you have to think she has, made so many accomplishments over the years. She didn't do it 5 years ago. She didn't do it 10 years ago. So why, when she has reached all these heights and, become one of the greatest athletes of all time, why now would she feel the need to bleach her skin? So the people that are saying oh, she's a sellout, she bleached her skin, she did not. It was really, in her defense, to me, it was really bad makeup. And also in her defense, being a woman of color, and for my guys that may not know this, when it comes to our foundation and our makeup, you do have what they call, I guess, like fall and winter colors, your base color, because you're a little bit lighter in the fall and winter. And then when it comes to the spring and summer, you should darken up your foundation some. And then it's also like lighting and everything like that. Because the white chicks memes, yes, did I laugh? Because it was funny, but it was also mean and I felt bad. But I get it because I've had some terrible makeup jobs before. Actually, one in Vegas. I think I had like a UFC swim party to go to. It was some event we had to go to, and I hired this makeup artist. The guy was so nice. But baby, when I tell you, when I looked like somebody from White Chicks. It just did not match. But you couldn't tell until I got into the light. I couldn't tell until I actually turned out the lights when he left in the hotel suite. I turned out the lights and took a picture in flash mode. And I was like, damn, like it was bad. It was bad. So we got to give her a little bit of grace. But I don't think, she made it to the top with all that melanin. There's no sense now in her bleaching her skin. I do not think it was that. But that makeup artist does need to go. Yes, Chris said it was a bad makeup job. It was a bad makeup job. Yeah, Lee, if you look at it, it was the most, I guess, some photo shoot she had, and the makeup was bad. Some people said she looked like one of the guys from White Chicks. Some people said she looked like Tina Turner. But at first, when I saw a picture, I did think it was Tina Turner. And it was the makeup. It was the makeup. I think it was the lighting and all of that, because there have been other pictures where you can tell, obviously, the other makeup artist may have been a woman of color or just a woman who knows shades. Like I know there's a couple of makeup artists here. I know like some white makeup artists or Palestinian makeup artists. I know makeup artists that are not Black women who do women of all shades, all colors, and they do a fabulous job. So it really comes just down to the artist and knowing your colors and testing it. You know what I'm saying? Testing the light. I know you guys are like, what? But man, this is what we have to go through. So before we get in front of you all, we have to test the light between, underneath a bright light, our makeup, underneath daytime light. If we're going out at night, what is our makeup going to look at night? There's a lot that goes into it. So if you do get caught on camera, it's not, looking like the whole White Chick thing. But I do feel bad because when you capture those pictures, it's like hard to go back and retake them, especially if it was candid moments that they might have caught of her and her husband and her daughter that she liked. They could have been amazing, but her makeup was looking like that, So, yes, all righty. Hello, Scott. How are you? Hello. Jessica, thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So we're going to just get into it. I did want to talk about that. Like I said, if you have just joined, we will be discussing the downside of the female empowerment era when it comes to dating and, romantic relationships. Obviously, I am not dating women during this time. Okay. So I wanted to hear from a man who is currently out there. I don't want to say he's on the dating scene. I don't really know. Well, he has been on the dating scene. He may be talking to somebody now, but he's out there, he's not married. Okay. So he is coming in contact with these women. And I just wanted to hear from him, like, what is it like? What's going on? What are some of the things that you have noticed that are a pattern, whether it's with Black women, white women, Latino women? What are some of the things that you're noticing with this whole empowerment and, I'm a strong woman, I'm a feminist. And like I said, yes, we've always had the strong woman notion. We've always had the empowerment and the feminist. But you guys know now more than ever, it is a huge movement. It's in our face all the time. And some women, honestly, just really don't understand. They jump on the whole female empowerment, the whole feminist bandwagon, and become a part of the movement, which I honestly am for to an extent. Okay, so I am for female empowerment. I am for women having a voice and all of that. What I am not for is the other side of it. You know what I'm saying? The people who really don't understand what they're pushing, but they're also trying to push their own personal agenda and attach it to the whole empowerment movement. And like I said, you have women who latch onto that and they don't understand the difference between empowerment and like the emotional detachment and all of that, okay? Because there is a downside. Not everything is empowering. Empowering a woman, like I always say, does not mean you have to then disempower men. If you want to be a part of the empowerment movement and all of that, it also does not mean that women need to detach from their feminine side. It does not mean that you need to become, you need to be more of a man. You got to be just like the man in order to get ahead. So I do not condone any of that. Okay. And like I said, these are the downsides. These are the negative, aspects of it, which do impact and affect dating and relationships and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So we're getting into, yes, Scott, women have lost faith in femininity. They have. You guys, I have been, like, I made a comment on a post of Mr. Kevin Samuels, okay? And I don't really comment on people's stuff a lot. It was actually on Instagram. And it's something about, like, I said something about angry Black women, okay? Now, I understand the racial side of the angry Black woman, but I was speaking actually as a Black woman who for years was angry. Not because somebody from the Republican Party said something about angry Black woman, not because a white man called me angry Black woman, but over the years from other Black men or people of color, they're like, you're angry. And guess what? I was pissed the hell off, when they said that. You know why? And I got immediately went on the defense because I was angry. And I couldn't own it then. But not only was I angry, I had all these other emotions that I was disconnected from that I couldn't really tap into. I didn't know how to express myself, so it came out as anger. I was hurt, I was frustrated, I was tired, I was aggravated, and it all came out as me being angry, hard, just really flexing all the time. And that's not natural, and it's not healthy or whatever. Anger is a healthy, to me, emotion that needs to be displayed, but you have to let go of it, okay? You have to let go of it. So a lot of us women do wake up angry. And at some point, it becomes a choice. We don't know, we don't let it go. We do not let it go. We do not lay it down. We do not tap into those other emotions that we may be feeling. Why? Because then we have to open ourselves up. We have to soften ourselves. We have to become vulnerable in order to know what we're really feeling and in order to address that, okay? So that's kind of how we got into this, because that is a part of it as well. You have a lot of strong, empowered women who honestly are so fragile, so weak, and so hurt. So they may be throwing themselves into chasing their career, or just, even if it's not a career thing, I just have to remain stoic and I have to remain strong. One, because that's what other women in society are telling me. That's what I see when I scroll Instagram and Twitter, is that strong woman, empower, boss babe, you can do it on your own. You don't need a man. He's an option, or he's a choice, not a need, all this kind of stuff. And it's really killing us. And I know we talk about this a lot, but that's what I wanted to hear from him. We're going to go over the downside of it, and then we're also going to go over the upside, okay? Because ladies, what you have to realize is this is what it is. When we talk about this and when men talk about it, they're not telling you that they don't want you to be successful. They're not telling you that they don't want you to be strong, that they don't want you to be able to, chase your goals and all of that. But what they're also telling you is that, yes, they are attracted to that, but they are also attracted to you being a woman. There is something in you that they do not have. And we all know that I'm not talking about what's between your legs. It is that divine, like we've said, that divine feminine energy, that power that men are attracted to, okay? So they want you to know, yes, babe, if you want to work, if you want to be successful, if you want to, get an education, we are for that. But there has to be a balance, okay? You have to be able to turn off that masculine and tap into your feminine, because that's where your real power lies. And that gives them power. You know what I'm saying? It definitely gives them power. It feeds off of each other. That's how we have that natural flow. But we do have too many women. Sorry. You guys know I got these super long locks, baby. And baby, down to my butt, honey. Got that stripper hair. Okay, that was probably inappropriate. But anyway, sorry. But let me just bring my guest in before I get in trouble, all right? So you all, like I said, this is Same Team Sundays. That's what we're talking about. I'm about to bring my guest in now. We're talking about dating during this whole female empowerment era and the downside of it, okay? But then we're going to close off with the upside and letting these ladies know from a man, what it's like and what he, there is an upside, okay? Because like he said, we're not telling you to turn it all off. We're not telling you to disempower yourself. But what we are saying is that, yes, you can be empowered, but you also have to realize that your feminine power lies within. And then in order to date and make these relationships work, baby, there has to be a balance. You got to tap into that feminine, all right? And you have to realize that these guys are not your opponents, okay? They are not out to get you. They want to be on your team. It is the same team. So let me bring him in. Okay. And then Shirley, I see your... Oh, okay, let me bring this up really quick. Okay, Shirley, as a Black woman, I do not subscribe with this. I'm a strong Black woman. I am as delicate as a rose, funny, peaceful person that can be prickly as a thorn, only when needed. Shirley, yes, I agree. Because I'm telling you, the whole strong Black woman, and that's the thing, we have to redefine what strong means, because the strong that a lot of women are chasing in that definition is what's killing us. It's not being strong at all. It's actually a weakness. That whole strong Black woman thing is what was killing me and that I was buying into, but I was so cut off from everything. I couldn't ask for help. I didn't know how to, have this intimacy with a man and cater to him, but also open up and be vulnerable. I felt like I had to do it all on my own. I couldn't cry. I couldn't do anything. And it took a toll on my mental health because it's not natural. So I definitely agree. And Shirley, thank you. Scott, feminine attracts masculine. Masculine attracts feminine. It's been known for centuries. Yes, it has been known for centuries. But for some reason, a lot of people still are not getting it. And I think we don't have enough examples of it, like in their face. And I do blame social media and pop culture for that. So they don't see enough healthy examples of people, whether it's women that other females look up to, saying, you know what, girl, yeah, you can be a boss, you can do this, but baby, you need to tap into that feminine. They don't get it. And they're not, they don't want to use it as a voice. They want to use it as, secure the bag, get this, get that. So we need to see more healthy examples so they know that it's okay and that it's not taking their power away. And then also respecting a man, loving a man, and, is okay. And also tapping into their feminine is okay. And there has to be, like we said, the balance. Okay. So let me go ahead and bring him in. Hey, Jessica. Alrighty, so let's check this sound. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
I think your audio's off.
And my audio's off? That's 1 second.
Is it you this time?
No, it says mine's on. It says it's on.
Oh, hold on. Now see, I don't know why you're... Okay, go ahead and try it.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Huh. That's interesting.
All right, so I'm going to take David. I'm going to go ahead. So this is David. I'm going to go ahead and take you out for a second so we can figure out what it is with your audio. So you're able to hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So we cannot hear you. I'm going to go ahead and take you out. Oh, you guys can hear him?
They can hear me?
So I just can't hear him?
Uh-oh. They can hear me.
They can hear you. So that's
but you
awesome.
Can't hear me. So it's
I can't hear you. How is that possible? Somebody says that alpha female an oxymoron. No, okay, you guys can hear him. All right, so I don't know why I can't hear him. That's crazy. All right, so I'm going to... Here I go with those headphones. Get me some headphones. Make sure I can hear them. Scott, I told every stream, and I just said, oh, this is the first stream where there's no audio problems or anything like that. But now, obviously, because you guys can hear me, you all can hear him. I cannot hear him. So maybe I spoke too soon. David, we're going to go ahead. Even though I cannot hear you, I'm going to get these headphones. And then I am actually going to let you introduce yourself, even though I cannot hear you. But just introduce yourself. If you want to go ahead and give your age, you can. Give them your current relationship status without hopefully without getting yourself in trouble. Whatever your relationship status is currently, go ahead and do that. But you guys, this is an amazing guy. He's very open, honest. I feel like he'd be a great person to give his voice to this whole discussion. And also he's going to do it in a way because he does love women. He does support them. So that's really quick. I got to give a disclaimer for him. He is not on here, and I hate that I have to do this, to bash women. Like I said, he is not against the empowered woman. He is not against women who want to go after their dreams and their goals or anything like that. Not at all. He is for that. But he is also a man that is completely for women who are not leading in that masculinity, who are not too strong, too powerful, and on that whole, where it becomes toxic, and the ones who are completely detached from their feminine energy. So he wants you all to know, like, yes, I'm attracted to that, but I'm also attracted to the feminine energy. Women need this. Men, and not only that, he wants to talk about how men need it because he has seen it through his, through dating and all of that. So go ahead and give your intro, and I am going to figure out my audio. Why can I hear him and get some headphones? So I literally may have to stand up and grab some during this. All right, David, go ahead.
So I'm David. Guys, I'm 27 years old. I am currently single. I don't have any responsibility to anyone, so I'm not going to get in trouble with anything I say. Personally, like, I've known Avery for a very long time. I look at her as like family, and I was honored that she kind of reached out to me to be on her show and kind of speak my piece. Along with the disclaimer that she added, like, I by no means will never like declare myself to be a specialist when it comes to dating or relationships, but I do believe I have a perspective that comes with years of experience of dealing with women, all type of women and whatnot. And I just think I could add to the conversation. But, at the end of the day, I'm all for female empowerment, woman empowerment. I'm all for the strides that women have made, in the last centuries, just within society and, excuse me, just within society and all the progress that has been made between, I guess, just male and female relations just in general. So, Avery, can you hear me yet or no? You still can't hear me. So I'll just kind of wait until she can hear me.
I got you on this cell phone until my person can bring me some headphones.
So you can hear me on the phone at least. I mean, I could just pick up and just call you.
I can hear myself on my phone. All right.
Okay.
So, all right. So really quick, before I get my headphones, that is David, and we're just gonna go ahead and get into it. He had, we've had a few discussions. We know we're gonna lead, but I want to get into, David. Let's talk about this whole empowerment versus emotionally detached. Okay, so that's what I want to tell you guys is that it is very true. Being empowered, and this is the thing that some women are having trouble with. There's a difference between empowerment and being emotionally detached, okay? And that is the downside. And with that is the whole empowerment, and like Sheila said, is this whole, I have to be strong. I have to be this. I have to, emulate a man. I have to, be rigid, shut off, all these kinds of things. But hold on, I'm getting my headphones. That is not true. And David, one of the points he brought up is from, during the whole dating thing, is that there are a lot of women who are emotionally detached. He said they are guarded, they are defensive. And these are the women, when they're emotionally detached, they are usually cut off from their feminine side, okay? So that means that they are leading in their masculinity. And I have to hook up my headphones. They're leading in their masculinity. And so, David, tell us a little bit, about that, that you've noticed.
First and foremost, I'd say, like, it kind of takes one to know one. So I kind of can say that I observed that only because, you know, as a man, that's a common trope that you kind of see as a black man in general. It's like that we have to go out through the world and we have to be guarded because the world's out to get us and we can't be emotional creatures. And that's just very common when it comes to like how men are growing up. And that's kind of led to what we call like toxic masculinity. What I feel like I've seen through my experiences more recently is that the tides have kind of almost turned a little bit. And I think it's definitely been a give and take, like an action reaction kind of thing, to where maybe women have been dealing with a type of man that has not been able to connect with his own emotions. Therefore, he can't connect with another woman on an emotional level, and therefore the relationships have kind of fallen apart. And therefore, over time, women have kind of grown harder and more guarded. And for me personally, I just feel like it just takes away from something that's just inherently unique within women. Like they're just generally supposed to be able to, I think that's part of their purpose on earth, is to be able to connect with not only men, just humanity in general on a level that us men can't. But you have women nowadays, whether they've been hurt in past relationships, whether they have some past childhood trauma or whatever, if they deal with unhealthy dynamics in like the workplace, so they overcompensate their masculinity to kind of hide that insecurity or try to keep up with men. It gets hard to kind of to level the playing field on the relationship level because you're always trying to match that energy, and it's just not enough space for that. I think men and women are supposed to be on the same team, so to speak, as you say, but we need that feminine energy to kind of to balance us out. That's not something that we can bring with like to the degree that women inherently have. But to mask that, I think is like kind of like women just hide within their power, and they diffuse it or they mute it, whatever you want to call it, and they just live so deep into their masculinity, and they're just not able or not willing. I wouldn't say able. They're not willing to go there because maybe they feel vulnerable or whatever the reason may be. Are you still not able to hear me yet? Just yet?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So with the
Yeah.
whole,
I don't know.
so I have my phone. You guys
Okay.
look.
All right.
I gotta give them directions on where my headphones actually, actually are. But with the whole thing, like you said, with the whole vulnerability, okay, let's go into that. Because here's the thing: in order for a woman to tap into her feminine, first, and I've done another stream on this. First, they have to realize there is power there. We cannot say it enough, ladies. There is power. You have power within you. That is one thing that I am against with this whole female empowerment era, is that when we constantly are telling women, you need to be empowered, you need to be empowered, you need to be empowered, we're telling them that they don't have power, that how they are, how they came into this world as a woman, it makes them powerless, and that now they have to be given power. You do not have to be given power like that. You have it within you. You have to tap into it. And it is okay. It is an everyday process for a lot of us, especially like David said, depending on upbringings and all of that, and or childhood trauma, or just life, whatever has happened that hurt. Oftentimes women are hurt. Okay, we have been hurt, and there is something that is keeping us from tapping in, because all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, when I was exposed, when I was open, when I was vulnerable, I got hurt. So naturally, as a defense mechanism, we go into survivor mode. Okay, during survival mode is when we put that armor on. All right. So a lot of these strong, empowered women are in survival mode. Who wants to live like that? I don't want to be a survivor. I want to be more than that. A survivor means just kind of like barely like, well, I'm here. Nobody wants to be like that. So in order to tap into that femininity, you guys have to open up. You have to be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable with a man, or when it comes to dating, or really with just yourself, you have to do it with yourself first. That does not mean you do not have boundaries, okay? And I had this discussion on Instagram earlier this week, David. I don't know if you saw some of my posts, but I had people asking, well, what is the middle ground, okay? because you do. Not everybody has good intentions, but when it comes to being vulnerable and being open, I use this example, okay? Your businesses, if you have a business, businesses are open, right? But they're still protected. You still protect them. Here at my house or at you all's homes, you have locks on your doors for a reason. You have locks on your windows. You may have an alarm system. You may have a camera system. One, because what is inside your home or your business that is of value to you, you want to protect it. And you don't just want anybody coming in and intruding. But there are times where your doors are unlocked. Your windows may be open. So it's the same thing with your heart when it comes to being open and vulnerable. Yes, you can be open, but you can still have boundaries, okay? That's all I'm saying. We all, like, I have an open mind, but I still just don't let anything just flow into my mind and sit there, okay? So it does not mean that you have to just be open, no boundaries, and that you're just welcoming anybody to come into your space and come into your heart and hurt you. That's not what it means. But in order to take stuff in and to give, you have to be open. I cannot have you guys, like, I can't have you guys over to my house, but I keep the doors locked. You know, I can't invite you to come over for, you know, a post-COVID party or barbecue and say, oh, come on in, but the door is locked. Like, how do you can't do that. You cannot trap anything that you love inside a steel box and expect it to grow, expect it to flourish, expect it, you know, to feel and all that kind of stuff. So you've got to open up and be vulnerable. Really quick, David, when it comes to, sorry, you guys, I think I got a lot going on. I got a lash, I think, like in my eye. When it comes to the women that are emotionally detached, okay? And the ones who are leading in their masculinity, like I think I saw Scott said, like, women being stoic is usually a masculine trait, and it definitely is. Because at one point, baby, I prided myself. I was just like this, like.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of men are
as well too. When it comes to that with you dating, do you feel like how does that make you feel when you have women who may be very rigid and, you know, all those types of things? Okay, guys, now I have more headphones. Go ahead.
Let's just wait till you get your headphones on, so you can hear me clearly.
Oh wait.
Yeah, let's just.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear you. Hold on.
So you can hear me now.
Okay. All right, I can hear you.
We're in the game, 100%.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can you repeat that last question that you said for me?
Go ahead.
Can you repeat that last question that you said for me?
Yes. So when it comes to women, you know, like dating.
Yeah.
That, you know, women that you have dated that are, emotionally disconnected, or the ones who, okay, so I want to talk about women that are rigid and stoic, like the way that I talked about, just very like masculine when it comes to the actual way that they carry themselves. How do you interact with that? Say you're on a date, or you guys are just like chilling or whatever, but that whole kind of like, girl, you need to soften up. You know what I'm saying? How do you actually interact with that?
For me personally, there are traits of that I kind of like, you know, within obviously a certain degree of like rationale, you know, because I myself, like, I actively research and practice stoicism. Like, I read on it, all of the philosophers and everything. And I just saw someone posted a comment about how it's generally targeted at like men and masculinity, which there's a lot of truth in there. But I mean, I'd agree there's nothing wrong with the female modeling that to a degree. Where I've kind of come across issues in relationships with that is when almost like certain women that kind of operate in that, it's like when you're interacting with them on a day-to-day basis, so more so on the relationship level as opposed to the dating level. So when you're just dating and getting to know someone, like, it initially could be like, oh dang, like this person is chill, like this person is in control of their emotions. It can almost be like for me personally, because of the type of woman that I like, it can almost be like a welcoming thing. But where I see the rift usually is in the day-to-day relationship stuff, to where this person who is a very strong independent woman, and those are the reasons that I was attracted to her. Now I'm actively seeing her actionably behave on a day-to-day basis in like a submissive way, to where they may be like making you dinner or bringing you stuff like this, but their actions don't necessarily like match their verbal output. So it's like, I'm strong, I'm independent, I'm this, but like that inherent female power will generally come out to a degree, and so they're very uncomfortable with it, and so they realize like, oh dang, like I gotta check myself, like I'm doing too much, like he's gonna he's gonna hurt me, so I gotta make sure I close myself off again before I allow myself to be hurt, or I'm doing too much for him, I'm being too submissive. And it's like, it's almost like that inter battle within themselves starts to show in relationships, because as they're battling with themselves internally, with their dynamic between how they see themselves and how they're acting and like just living in their femininity, they start to push you away, or they start to challenge you to make it seem like you're at fault for certain things. And I see personally, for me, that's where I kind of noticed the rift mostly.
Right. So with the challenge, you also have, I put up a quote, talked about like that whole tug of war thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know you mentioned that also it feels like sometimes when you have disagreements,
Yeah.
like we do in relationships, you're supposed to have a disagreement. Okay. We all
Yeah.
know, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we do have a woman who is operating and leading in her femininity. Okay.
Yeah.
And we have the man. So we have the natural balance. It's still going to be difficult because it's
Mm-hmm.
just two human beings. It's two imperfect people trying to make something work. But it does present more challenges when you have the man, such as yourself, and then if I'm leading in my masculinity, and it comes to now we have to settle a disagreement.
Yeah. Well.
But neither one of us wants to back down. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And when it comes to that challenge, one of the challenges that you may come across, like we talked about it, when it does come to women who are leading in their masculinity, and they're leading in the unhealthy. Let's put that out there, okay? There is nothing wrong with masculinity, because if there was, then we wouldn't want men to be masculine, or we wouldn't be able to lead in our masculinity when it's time, when it's called for. So we're not talking about when it's the right time, but when it's time to turn it off and you can't turn it off. So now you're having a disagreement with your man, but any disagreement is an instant battle. It's an instant challenge, you know? And as a woman, you cannot back down. And when I say back down, that does not mean that you have to agree with him and you cannot voice your opinion and all of that. When I say back down, it means if you are having a disagreement with your man and you in his face, like, you know, like a man, like a dude or whatever. So when I say back down, I literally mean physically back down. That does not mean take your opinion away. That does not mean silence your voice. It means physically soften your demeanor. Get your hands out of his face. Put your hands down. Curl up on that couch. Like, how can he really argue with you and you curl up on that couch like, yes, babe? You know, and you can still, here's the thing. If David and I were together, you can, like, I could still completely, let's say I 100% disagree with him. But instead of me standing toe to toe with him, I sit down on the couch and I kind of just lean in and I'm like, look, babe, like, this is where I'm coming from. Like, I hear you. So here's another thing. When I do that, now I'm opening up my ears. Okay. The women who are leading like this cannot open their ears up. Like, they're not listening. We're not listening. Then you got to say, okay. Now I'm sitting down. I'm softening, like physically softening my body. Even if inside, if I'm like, oof, you know, I'm physically softening my body. And now you're not like, I don't feel like you're my opponent. Okay. So now I can open up my ears. But if I'm like, you know, babe, like, right now, I don't see where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, I don't agree with you. And this is how I feel. I hear you and I understand, but I personally cannot agree with you right now on whatever the issue is. That will come off way differently than if I was standing up in his face, talking to him the same way I do to, people in the workplace or my employees or whatever. It's going to come off completely differently. And then he may soften up and be like, okay, you know what, babe, this is what I'm trying to say. Or maybe it's something that you still are going to agree to disagree on, but not in a way to where you feel like you had to compromise who you are and you got to walk on eggshells with the topic and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you've had disagreements with these types of women, how do they go? Are they usually one-sided? Like, how is it? Is it a conversation? Let's just put it, is it even a conversation?
No, from my like personal experience, because once again, that's all I can really speak about. For me, the biggest thing that you kind of touched on was like the ability to agree to disagree. I often, and I'm not perfect by any means. I've been escalated my fair share of arguments, even if I'm not like a yeller or whatever, like I've completely discredited my partner's point of view out of spite. Like we've all been there. I would like to think in this day and age I don't, at this stage of my life. But for me, the ability, like I was saying, the ability to agree to disagree is very important. Simply because those arguments typically turn from a small, minor disagreement to where if you have someone particularly like say in their workspace, they have to really try hard to verbally assert themselves or to get their points across, and like they can't flip that switch from work to relationship. A small disagreement, like if we're arguing about if I think the pen that you're holding is purple and you think is blue, and I'm like, hey, like you said, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, I see your points, but like to me, I see it as purple. But then now it's like, oh, you see it as purple, like now you're like offending me. Like they take it like so personal because you won't concede to their thoughts, viewpoints, or the objective that they're trying to come across. And like, so even at points to where I would have conceded and been like, hey, I see you, I just don't agree. Then it's like, no, I'm going to die on this hill. Like until you say that this pen is blue, we're going to sit here. And then now I'm agitated, not only because like you're not necessarily hearing me, not only because you're not agreeing to disagree, but like now at least something I just don't believe. Like, and is that not okay? Like, that's kind of been my experience with that. And then you almost to the degree you'll forget what you're arguing about.
Yeah.
And and then you get to the points where everything's so heated, and now it's like you realize like, dang, the gloves have been off for like the last 10 minutes. I may not even notice. Like in this person's mind, like I'm an enemy, like I'm an opposition, like I'm just thinking we're just having a little debate or like even a little heated argument that will come and blow over at some point, but it never reaches that stage.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So, like you said, the whole agree and disagree and all of that. What comes with that is the fact is that not only, like you said, is it everything a bigger argument or is it a challenge, but it's also like some of these women who are leading, like I said, in this toxic side, in let's call it the toxic side of empowerment, okay? The downside, the toxic side of empowerment, the toxic side of leading in your masculinity. Because we're not saying that like I said, there is not a time and a place for that. But when it becomes toxic, when you can't turn it off. And when it starts to interfere with relationships and you cannot have a healthy romantic relationship, okay? So when it comes to this challenge, and they can't even agree to disagree, it's because it's like I have to be right, and I want you to know that I'm right. Okay. Like I think you mentioned it in we have some notes. I think you mentioned that. But just the need to be right. Like we can't even disagree, and I want to be right, and I want you to tell me that I'm right. So have you seen that?
Oh, I've seen it all the time. I've had, I've definitely seen that. Just generally, like I said, the type of women that I'm attracted to, very strong, assertive women. I think part of it is like, okay, like at some point you have to realize we're all human. We all have our flaws. We all have our faults, and like to a degree, you're gonna deal with that. sometimes. But when it became like a multi-day weekly thing, then it's like it just gets exhausting after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I didn't maybe even realize until like after the fact, maybe after the relationship had dissolved or whatever. That like, dang, like I have to kind of take my own advice. So like I'm asking this person and I'm telling them, hey, I love you, I see you, I care about you. I just don't agree with you on this matter. Like, don't take it personally. I have to look at myself and be like, okay, like the fact that they're acting this way towards me, or like they're so gung ho about whatever point that they have to make, like, dang, like maybe I don't need to take it personal. Like maybe they're just like insecure about something, or like they feel like I'm like impeding on like their identity in some kind of way, because like you never really know what the root of like certain people's issues are. And
That's yep.
yeah, and it's very prevalent in relationships, not only relationships, friendships. I have female friends that I maybe haven't, it's like strictly platonic, and I've noticed it with them and maybe other people, but particularly in like women, like in my generation, for sure, it's definitely a lot more prevalent than you would think.
Now, do you think, let's lead into that. So when you do have, like when you said that, okay, you are taking it personal, which
Yeah.
you kind of can if you're dating somebody and you guys are having
Hmm.
constant disagreements and constant challenges and battles over things that should not
Hmm.
even be like that. You should be able to take it personal. But so it's like a fine line. You should be able to take it personal because you're
Hmm.
in the relationship. But what you're saying is some stuff they're taking it so personal because you don't understand. Like they are like that. Women who leave this way, like I said,
Hmm.
it's that survivor mode.
Yeah.
So they could be attacking you and challenging you and battling you on every single thing that has nothing to do with
To
you
do
or
with
has
you. Yeah.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with that argument.
Uh-huh.
But then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
is that your job now to go and uncover every woman that you come across who has this armor on? Because now I'm going to be so strong, because it'll also, yes, I will be able to, achieve my goals or whatever, but it'll also protect me and keep me from ever getting hurt again. Usually women that operate like this
Hmm.
have the unresolved hurt.
Yes, and they've
So
internalized it, and they carry it on from relationship to relationship.
for relationship,
Not even just
mhm,
romantic relationships,
yep.
but yeah, for sure. I've
So
dealt
I
with
think
that.
you should be able,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard because it's like, okay, let's say if you get with a woman and, it's going good when you're in agreement, when nothing's
Hmm.
really, I mean, that's weird because that's like walking on eggshells. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
So you're kind of compromise your voice, So let's just say in the early stages going good, but then a disagreement comes up and you're talking to her or you say something, and the way she gets on that defense or whatever, or makes it seem like you're trying to attack her, you're trying to dim her light,
Mm.
is because the last one did that. The last one, was trying to dim her light or whatever. So now she is treating you and handling you just like the last man. And that's
Hmm.
something that women, we have a very bad habit of doing, especially when we have
Mm.
not healed. It's just like, I see your face, but you represent all the bad guys. You know what I'm
And
saying?
yeah, and that's so important for me when I was saying I try not to take it personal, because like if I'm in a disagreement with like someone that I love or my significant other, and I'm like, I feel like I should be able to speak my truth, but I should always feel like you see me, right? Like I'm not out to hurt you. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not your enemy. Like I don't have a weapon. I'm not out to get you. And then it's like I would take it personally that they're acting, this way towards me. Like I'm like, yo, like just 20 minutes ago, like I was this great guy that you loved, and you knew that I cared about you, and then all of a sudden like a disagreement arises, and then like I feel unseen. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
a shadow, and you're just like projecting and casting like all of these insecurities and past issues and traumas on me, and then it's like, damn, I not only have to deal with it like coming at me, but now I have to carry the weight of it because like I know that it's affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm not only in this situation your boyfriend, but I become a therapist too, because now I gotta try to talk you out of that. And the more I touch on certain things, that's gonna trigger you to maybe react either volatile or detach even more. And it's just like a slippery slope. And it's like, where does it end?
Yes, because
Yeah.
so too strong to me is a cover up for extremely hurt.
Yeah.
Extremely
Yeah.
hurt. And that also then that leads into the vulnerability we've talked about, leads
Mm-hmm.
into lack of accountability. My guy Scott was like, and this is a married man, he drops a lot of gems on here. Absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
All my people do. And he says being right more important than being loved. Like we talked about, the whole like I have to be right. Now I'm gonna speak
Yeah.
from that because I am a woman.
Yeah.
Scott, yes it is. No. No, not for me. Not for me. But at one point, it was. That's why I don't understand why these women think I'm attacking them. Girl, bye. I am attacking the type of person that I was at one point. That's why I can say
Yeah.
that.
And that's how I feel as well too. Like I could never like one in a relationship, I would never ask anything from my partner that I wouldn't ask of myself. I would
Yes.
never declare or present anything that I haven't dealt with personally or firsthand or secondhand, and
Yep.
like I think that's what when people don't realize your intentions or your intent behind that's they automatically kind of don't associate your intentions with the fact that like, damn, maybe he's saying this because he's been through it. Maybe I can
Right.
learn from this person, but that
Right.
requires a certain level and degree of vulnerability. I feel like a
Yes,
lot of
it
people aren't
does.
really, really willing to go to.
Because being
Yeah.
vulnerable also means opening your ears up, opening up your ears,
Mhm.
opening up your mind, opening up your heart.
Mhm.
Okay. Now they can open up their legs, but you don't want to open up your heart. You don't want to open up
Mhm.
your mind and hear somebody else's point of
Yeah.
view. You don't want to open up your ears. And
Mhm.
that goes back, like Scott said, that when it comes to like, I have to be right, it's because when a lot of women feel like they have to be right, if we admit that we're wrong,
Yeah.
first of all, that just sounds so funny because we don't like admitting that we're
Yeah.
wrong. People
I
think
mean,
that,
who
oh,
does?
yeah, people think that it's really a man thing. No, it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you got a lot of these women who have these super strong, super, in a toxic way, in a toxic masculine, these egos, and they can't even admit when they're wrong. I was like that at one point. But no, being right is not more important than being loved at all. To me, it's not. But to a lot of people, and to a lot of women, it is. They want to be right, but then they want you to love them. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing.
Yeah.
You want me to do all of these things when you're not doing anything but showing up in the relationship. And that leads us into like we have the ego, and we also now have this entitlement
Mhm.
and lack of accountability, because it's like, no, I'm good. So you talked about when women were, you said one of the downsides is now they're showing up during this era. They're showing up in relationships and dating, and they're like, basically, take me as I am. What you
Yeah.
see is what you get, but
Mhm.
it's all of it. And they're not saying it like, if you were with me and I was like, look, I've been hurt before, I've been this or whatever, I've healed or whatever, but what you see is what you get. But
Mhm.
every day I get up, I'm still trying to become a better woman.
Better person.
That's not what
Yeah.
they're saying. They are like, here I am. I've leveled up, this whole level up thing, glowed up or whatever. Not if
Mhm.
you haven't done it mentally and emotionally and spiritually and all of that. It's because your bank account may be leveled up or your degrees or your accolades. That doesn't mean anything when it comes to who you are as a whole woman. Has your feminine leveled up? No, it has not. So they're showing up in these relationships with men such as yourselves, and they're like, I'm good. You need to work on yourself, because we all, you got work to do. We always want to point out the work that the man has to do,
Mhm.
but we dare not point out any work that we need to do. First of all, because we don't see it. So then if you guys even mention it, we're not taking advice from you. We're
Yeah.
instantly defensive. Talk on that.
Or we're like attacking you, right?
Oh, you're definitely attacking us.
Me personally, I can speak to that because you kind of talk to like some of the materialistic stuff,
Mhm.
income, financially, career wise, whatever. like I am someone who, I'm in an alternative career path, like for sure. So I like the idea of like someone also understanding the necessary sacrifices and stuff and the commitment that I have to make to get to where I want to be, like in my career. So I like the idea of having someone who's also just as focused and dialed in on what they're doing as I have to be with what I'm doing. Um, with that, I've noticed does come that sense of like entitlement. I mean, at 27 years old, I've dated women much older than me. I've dated women my age. I've dated women that have much more than me financially.
Mm-hmm.
I've dated women that are on the same level as me. But I think the biggest thing has been like they have a distorted perspective of themselves based off of their career paths, even more so than the financial like element of it.
Right.
This idea that I'm a boss in my space and I lead in my space and I control 30, 40 people. I'm very prominent in my workspace. And then it's like, if they can accept me or they put me on this pedestal, then you should feel honored to be with me, or you should feel like
Yes.
you hit past your coverage. I had a ex used to actually tell me that. And this was a very
Wait, what?
beautiful person. Yeah, I've had someone actually tell me that.
What
But I
is
mean, this
repeat
is
that again?
the fact that I should feel like I hit out like past my coverage at some point. It's like, but I'm supposed to take it. And this is a very beautiful person, very good person. I don't think they meant it with like any ill intent or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think they couldn't maybe communicate their point the best way at that moment.
But if they
But
said that, they actually believe that.
yeah. Yes and no.
To an extent.
I think they said it because they wanted to believe that themselves, because I did notice a lot of insecurities in other spaces. So it
Yes.
didn't
Okay.
your actionable actions weren't adding up to what
Yes.
you
They
were
had to kind of
saying.
hype themselves
Yeah, exactly.
because
Yeah.
you are a
And
deep
so
person. You probably uncovered, like
yeah,
you said, you uncovered some of those
yeah, I
insecurities.
uncovered it initially, like, and
Yeah.
that's why I never took it personal, right? Because
Okay.
I knew where it was coming from. But
Mm-hmm.
then along came with that, it's like, and even in other experiences, like generally that's attached to an insecurity that's then
Right.
surrounded by some other toxic traits, which are then based in other insecurities. So basically, what they're saying is like, you're supposed to take my baggage and carry it for me, just and be honored to do it because I am who I am, because I have this nice job, because I have this
Mm-hmm.
degree, because I make this amount of money, or I have a strong supporting friendship group that supports and rah-rahs everything that I do, whether it's right or wrong, and like you being in my emotional space, you're supposed to kind of lend yourself to that as well. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I have no issue with strong women. I personally think within being in a relationship, like you should challenge your partner to be better. But it's
For
like when
sure.
you just kind of are content in who you are, and that pursuit of progress becomes like very, very stagnant. Like for me, personally, I'm gonna get bored because like I'm the type of person like at this point in my life, and like I haven't always been this way. So this is why I really can appreciate that and be like, yo, I'm proud of the man I am today, and I can speak on it like this,
Right.
is because like I've lived in my pain, I've lived in my trauma, I've exercised it in relationships, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
done stuff in relationships I'm not proud of. I probably at moments been the person right now that I'm speaking against.
We all
But
have.
yeah, and we all have. Nobody's perfect in that way. But I have noticed that strong women that are very insecure, like within relationships, they will not date someone who is intellectually maybe on their level, financially on their level, education wise on their level, because they feel like they have to have that sense of control that comes with that entitlement, that is therefore then like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
accept me for who I am, or take it or leave it.
Because they want to
Yeah.
pull. So I think some of us and some of the people on here have seen, I'm trying to think of
Mm,
the right way to say this without calling people out, have seen streams and seen other things where there are women on there who basically kind of speak on this, but if you
mm,
call them out on it, they get
yeah.
offended
Yeah.
because they talk about these men, but it's like they're purposely choosing men that's kind of like dating down in a sense. And when I say down,
Hmm.
I don't mean financial. It's not a money
Yeah,
thing.
no.
But
And I'll take
they try to go after men who they feel like they can pull these trump cards on. I'm educated. I put myself through school. I have my own car. I have my own house. I have my own business, or I just got a promotion, because they want people who, like you say, they aren't going to challenge them, or who are going to see them as a prize. Because also they do like to pull those trump cards. I've watched some streams recently, and it's like these people, you know, a woman and a man will start arguing, and the woman's like, well, I'm educated.
Yeah.
Okay. I am
That's
too.
That's a whole nother thing. I've met some very intellectual, educated people that are open-minded, but then I also met some educated people that are indoctrinated. And I think there's a fine line between being educated and indoctrinated. Like, some people are so indoctrined within their education. Like, if things aren't black and white and by the book, like, they just will not adhere to it. They don't believe to any alternative theories, whether it's within personal relationships, whether it's about math, science, whatever you want to like compare it to. And I think that's the biggest difference. Like,
it's not a trump card.
It shouldn't be. And if you look at it that way,
we'll use that. You
have to be lacking somewhere to be like, hey, like, this is my trump card. I'm educated.
I've never used that. And I have never, David, like in an argument with a man. I done used a lot of words in the past. I have never been like, but I got a degree. Some people probably don't even think. I think a lot of people just assume that I was some trophy wife and that I probably have no education. And that, you know, when they call me a clout chaser and all that, I just let them go with it. I'm like, obviously, you have no idea who I am.
I pick the battles, you know?
Yeah, I have, and it's completely ridiculous. But I have never used that in a disagreement with a man or somebody I'm with. I have never, or just any man, because this was a discussion that this woman was having. It was a black woman. It was an educated black woman, which means you have a degree or degrees.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. You know, I know some people with degrees on top of degrees on top of degrees who are not educated because they aren't willing to learn what's outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
Okay, like these conversations are learning. When I see some of these comments, whether it's Scott or Align 10 Mint, she had a comment up. You know, like, I like reading this because this is helping me learn. I'm able to see other people's point of views, whether I agree or disagree. But this is continuing education. This is being educated outside of the classroom. I will get on here and mispronounce words. I'm a stir, whatever. It doesn't mean that I'm not educated, but I have never thrown my degree in a man's face in an argument. You know what I'm saying? To belittle him or whatever. I don't care if he doesn't have a degree. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, I'm educated. That's not, who the hell cares? That is not a trump card. Like, that is not something. But when you throw out stuff like that, it's the same thing when people constantly throw out cash, how much money they have, and all of that. It's also because it's to cover up insecurities, or it's like
that whole loudest person in the room concept, right? Is like generally the weakest. Like, and
there's a lot of loud women nowadays, baby.
Yeah, it'll be like, I'm the most loving, caring, empathetic person, blah blah blah. But then I've been in a relationship with you, and I'm like, yo, like, I haven't seen you model those behaviors to the people that you love, right? Like, you can do, it's trendy, right? To be an empath or like whatever you want to call it. Like, like, yo, I've never seen you model that in a relationship. I've watched you talk to your mom a certain way. Like, where's your empathy then? I've watched you talk to random strangers that maybe have opposing political views or whatever. Like, where's your empathy then? But like, you will outwardly go out and express like how empathetic you think you are. Like, where was your empathy, you know, with me when I was going through something, whether I was stoic about it and you may not have known, like, you never asked, you never, you know. And I've been in situations like that emotionally, where it seems like very strong women, toxic women, like they feel like you're there just to to kind of serve them and like their needs.
Oh,
And
let's
so
talk
like
about it. Let's talk about this whole service.
yeah, you fill their cup, but then you like get nothing back in return, you know. And I've found myself in that situation a few times, you know. And
Hmm.
it's, you know, it's sad, but it happens. It's a thing. And I'm pretty sure, you know, like I said before, I'm not perfect. I've taken in relationships, but at this point in my life, I'm just not there. And so, like at this level of awareness that I'm personally at right now, like I just have to, you have to be very particular about who you give your energy to these days
Hmm.
because of that very reach. Because people will take and take and take and never even think about giving beyond what their strict, rigid boundaries that they already set. You know, and
Yes.
yeah.
And with those boundaries, those are the kind of boundaries that we're talking about that are not healthy.
Hmm.
Like Scott or somebody else that made a comment and said, even heaven has gates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
But
saw that. I tried.
this is the unhealthy stuff. Shirley, I'm loving
Yeah.
your comment. That's why it's on the screen. But let's talk about this whole service because, you know, I used the example some weeks back about women who are successful and when
Hmm.
we say strong, you guys know we do need to completely redefine what a strong woman is. Okay.
Yeah.
So when David is saying he is attracted to strong women, he is not attracted to the type of strong woman that me and Shirley were talking about. The fake strength. Okay.
Hmm.
That's the toxic strength. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
have to be so strong. The stoic, the rigid, cut off. He is saying strong. It has to be healthy. Okay. There's nothing wrong.
Hmm.
To me, I am more strong than I have ever been. Okay. And that is because I am honest with myself. I faced a lot. For me to be able to do these conversations, it is putting myself completely on a chopping block. Okay. So even when I talk about the whole vulnerability, or even when it comes to, you know, women exercising or women just tapping into their feminine energy, these are all things that I was cut off from because I thought I was being strong. When I realized I need to tap into them and face them, I'm like, oh, this is what makes me strong. This is what makes
Hmm.
me powerful. This is that energy. Like you said, the whole empathy thing, compassion, energy, and all of that, be a light is a trend. Okay. It is something that
Yeah.
is trending. So you will see a lot of these women repost it, but
Yeah.
they're not going to model it. Okay. They are not implementing it in their personal relationships at all. So when it comes to service, I brought up the thing like, okay, you can be successful, you can be this, and you can bring your man a plate. You can fix your man a plate. You can serve him.
Hmm.
And some people are like, oh, well, serving somebody is similar to slavery. Actually, it's not.
No,
It
no.
is not because here's the
It's
thing.
first of all, it's my love language. I've learned acts of service. If I love you and I care about you, I may not
Yes.
always be able to find the proper words at the proper time to show it and express it. But you
Mm-hmm.
best believe if there's something that I notice that you need done, or like there's something I can do to add to whatever you're doing, like that is how I'm going to express it. So
Right.
service is definitely not slavery. It's only slavery if it's not reciprocated, because then it's like you're working without getting paid. I mean, to be quite literal, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no,
No, being
it's a
of
very
service.
flawed logic. Yeah.
But that's the same thing when you said the women that we're talking about, you guys in this stream, um, the downside of the female empowerment era, it's like also like we talked about them showing up in relationships. Here I am, you know, I'm a strong woman. I am the perfect woman. I do not lack of accountability, emotionally disconnected, and when they're showing up, this is me. Take me as I am. We are also not serving you. Like
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
serving you. You know why? Because they see service as dimming their light. So we want you to work on you. We want you to hold yourself accountable. Oh, and we're going to hold you accountable. So women
Mm.
do have the power to hold somebody accountable. A lot of them
Mm.
just do not have the power to hold themselves
Self
accountable.
accountable.
They're
Yeah.
they're not so they're capable.
Yeah.
Don't let them fool you. They're capable of accountability when
Yeah.
it's not on them,
On
when
them.
it's on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And
When
now
it's
we
when it's
also, yeah, we want you to serve
yeah.
us. We don't, because you just being with me is service enough. It's the entitlement and the ego. It is not that way. Service is a two-way street. relationships are a two-way street. Now, a lot of them are one-sided and a one-way street. That is not healthy. But when it comes to this, it is, you cannot, like, you can't just, ladies, you cannot just show up. Like, I don't care. You cannot show up in a relationship and that's it. It's not going to last long.
Yo, I had a friend I was talking to, and he made a comment because I was kind of talking about how something I was going through in a relationship, and maybe I was even lacking in something, and he was trying to get me to understand. And he made a comment. He was like, "Hey, like, you cute, but you ain't special." Like, you know what I'm saying? If you put that work in, the way you look, the way you talk, the way you speak, that's only going to get you so far. But at the end of the day, if you don't put the work in and you don't do the things that are necessary to get to where you want to be, whether it's with a relationship, whether it's with a job, no matter what it may be, like,
right,
you're gonna get out what you put in at the end of the day.
That is very true. That's very true. We're gonna go to some of these comments really quick because we have some other points to hit. Rod, hey Rod, he said sometimes it's better to find someone who wants what you want. Trying to make someone into something they are not, or taking them down a path they don't want to go, takes too much energy. That is okay, Rod. I definitely agree with you. Now, one thing I will say is that let's see what Scott said. Okay, so Scott agreed. And he said, "Do you try to fix this broken person, or do you give your energy to someone who appreciates it?" And that's one of the things you talked about, Dave. I think we mentioned that a little bit back when you said, there's some things that you realized you couldn't take personal because when they came into the relationship or whatever, they had these. But here's the problem, you guys, because I agree with Rod and Scott, I'm on point with your question as well. But here's the problem. There are, and I see it more now since I have been having these conversations and some of the things I see from women. That's why I'm just glad I'm not a man and I don't have to date during this time. Because like now I agree. Like when you guys used to say, like when my guys on here were saying, like my guys, my team, when my guys and the ladies were saying like, hey, your voice is needed. There are, a lot of women who do not think like this. It was actually a shock to me. That's because I was on a new platform. Yeah. And yes, the women that I have coached and the women I've worked with, I've had tons of conversations with them, but being on a larger scale, I'm like, wait a minute, like, women don't work on themselves. Like they don't hold themselves accountable. I saw Shirley saying during this time she's been doing a lot of work. So I do. There are now a lot of women though. Like if you are out there dating, like how do you find somebody who wants what you want? Like there aren't a lot of women who are going to be, David, sorry, I'm not taking your hope away because they're out there. Yeah. So they're out there, but it's like,
look, I'm not necessarily
how do you
looking.
come across them? Like I thought it was strange when people were like, "Oh my God, your voice is needed." I'm thinking like this should be normal, like
yeah.
But there aren't. So then, how do you go and find somebody who is a woman? Now in your era, in this time, how do you find? Like it's hard to find women who want what you want, and when I say want what you want, who just want to be better and are okay with change for the better, who are okay with accountability, who are honest, who are willing to chase their career and their goals and also be feminine and or even know what it is, you know what I'm saying? Or like learn or tap into it because it's like the market is saturated with women who are against all of that.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, like you don't try to find it.
For sure.
That's the best way to go about it. Because I found in the past, like, I've come across, different people that I've been interested in relationships.
Sorry, really quick. I'm like, you guys, okay, I'm old. Now look.
Oh, no, I feel you.
But like, I was working out and something other day, and then like, I'm over here going like this.
You sit in that one position too long.
Like, what is she doing? Okay, go ahead, David.
No, you're good. Sorry. No, I empathize with you. Like, you sit in one position too long, you like, damn, I gotta. Right. But yeah, for me, where I'm at right now in my life is like, I've definitely in areas like or in spaces in my life have gone out there and actively maybe looked for certain traits or whatever in women, and I found them, But then I have noticed, like, based around those certain traits or elements that I do like, I've generally gravitated towards a certain type of women that are maybe going through that strong, independent, career focused, but they're probably going through or living in their traumas at that point in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to take inventory, right? I have to be like, yo, like, if this is like the second or third time I'm experiencing this, like, maybe I'm complicit in this a little bit. Like, no matter how the situation ended, whether I wronged them or we just mutually decided to end, or they wronged me, and but I started to notice a common theme, and they generally were centered around certain types of like trauma and not dealing with them very well. So I have to look at myself as like, okay, what am I doing first and foremost that is attracting this type of person to me?
Okay,
And
so real quick, and I am going to
yeah,
interrupt, but not to be rude,
yeah,
'cause I don't want to lose my train of thought. Now you know I got
yeah.
ADD.
No, I get it. Let's
Now,
go.
normally I would be like, yeah, you're looking for that, but I am telling you, and I
Hmm.
am agreeing with you. We do attract certain things,
Yeah.
but there are so many successful hurt women
Yeah.
because of this, because of these
Hmm.
movements, and because what we're constantly bombarded with.
Hmm.
It's like, let me be successful, let me secure the bag. Oh, and I don't need to heal. It's a cover up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
So even if you didn't attract that, or you weren't looking for certain stuff,
Hmm.
because I see it with groups of women and their friends and all that,
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm starting to be the oddball. Not within
Yeah.
like my personal little like group, but just in general with women. A lot of
Yeah.
times I am starting to be the oddball, because it's like, we're not working on ourselves. Girl, I have a good
Yeah.
job, or I got this, or
Yeah.
whatever. Even if they're married, even if they're already married, they're still not working on themselves. But
Yeah.
they want their husband to constantly step his game up or whatever. So I feel like even if you weren't looking for that, and even
Yeah.
if you weren't attracted to certain things,
Hmm.
just in general, we are not promoting enough healing. Now, what you will
Hmm.
see is, you will see things about, oh, sis, like shea butter, coconut oil, glow, secure the
Yeah.
bag, tap in, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't messing with no broke, don't give it up. Okay, we
Yeah.
see all that, and we see the healing and stuff when it's trending.
Hmm.
Maybe they can post it, but
Yeah.
you, if you can't, they'll talk about it. But if they're not
Yeah.
walking it out,
Nah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's very rare. It's very rare. And you talk about being successful because of like your pain and stuff, and like looking within myself. And so the recent present day, like I realized, damn, like I've modeled that myself. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
the successes that I have been out of spite, for whether it's family, like things that I grew up and dealt with that I was angry about. So I decided to channel it in like a healthy way, and sweep things under the rug. But that's probably a conversation for a different day. But to answer your initial question of like how do you find that, I just think the approach that I'm deciding to take right now is to not look for it, and to constantly put myself in a healthy space, both mentally, physically,
Right.
emotionally, and just continue to work on myself, work on my career, and everything. And I just feel like that'll put me in the space to come across that person, because I believe I continue to put that good energy out and just try to be a good human amongst anything, that it's gonna attract other good people to me. And I guess I'm just kind of using
Mm-hmm.
that passive approach right now, because
Right.
I'm not even particularly looking for a relationship. Like, I do have goals that I want
Final
to
way.
achieve, and
No, I'm kidding. No, like,
I do have goals that I want to achieve, and I want to work on. But
right.
I just think if I continue to work on myself, that it'll attract the right type of person.
You know what? So I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you, like they tell
yeah.
me, and I used to get offended. Like I love when people tell me this. Well, okay, I don't. I used to get offended when I first came on, join like the YouTube thing, and I'm still very new
Hmm.
to this. And people are like, "You're before your time. Your message is before your time." And I'm like, "No, if I keep talking, if I keep building, they will
Yeah.
come." And they will. My message isn't going to change, but it's
Hmm.
kind of true. And when I started, like I said, when I started to interact more, I'm like, damn, like
Hmm.
some of this is, it's on time, but some of these people are going to catch it later. And so when it comes to you, you're doing the right stuff, when it comes to, like you said, I'm just going to better
Yeah.
myself. That's what we
Yeah.
should all be doing. As long as we
Yeah.
still have a breath in our body and air in our lungs,
Yeah.
we should all be trying to better ourselves, whether we're
Yeah.
single, whether we're married, whether we're dating, or whatever. Like I could not leave my marriage and be the same woman that I was. That would have
Yes.
been
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it is actually normal. A lot of people leave marriages, especially if they felt
Marriages,
somebody else failed them, and
relationships. Yeah.
they don't work on themselves. There is no
Mhm.
way in heck I could, no matter what that person did, that I could have came out of there and stayed the same. It's like,
Mhm.
no, it makes absolutely no sense.
I've
But
seen it, and I've experienced it as well too. Is like being
mhm,
in a relationship and then it ending, and then me being the type of person I am. Like I'm supremely introspective. I've just always been like that. And then I
right,
start, second guessing myself, like, oh, like maybe I did this wrong, and maybe I could have done this better. I probably could have been more present here. I could have said this a little differently. And
mhm,
then as you're going through your time healing, and then you look, like on social media or whatever, or just through word of mouth, and you're like, oh, like this person that was just so supremely in love with me, or declared that they would do all of these things for our relationship and wanted
right.
this bright future, to like weeks later, like you're in a relationship and you're supremely in love with someone else, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute,
Mhm.
like
And
you
I
just be
mean,
out, like you could just be out here finding that, like that, like I didn't know it was that easy, like it is what it is. But then that kind of put a lot of things in perspective for me, and I just kind of took that as a notice to just one, trust myself and
yeah.
trust my intuition. And I'm not the type of person that's going to put blame, on anyone. And like maybe that
Mhm,
situation just wasn't meant to work out, but
mhm,
like it was kind of a relief to just be like, okay, like maybe I was kind of right to like be a little hesitant or reluctant in giving
mhm.
certain things. Like maybe I should have just trusted my initial instinct from the beginning. I probably wouldn't be in this situation.
Right.
So it is what it is. But I just think in the world that we live in, the society we live in, everything's based off of instant gratification. Everybody has their list that they want to check out. And I often felt like even in that relationship,
Mhm.
like as this person was expressing to me how they love and what they needed for love and what they wanted from me, like over time I started to feel like, and I would say this to myself, and I got like something that I've been writing about it. It's like your love kind of felt like one size fit all to me, or one size fit most, to where
Mhm.
I often felt like you could just take me out and put someone in that was like kind of similar to me, and it wouldn't matter to you, right? Like,
Because
but
they're
for me it's
disconnected.
like I loved you in a way to where now it's like, you're gone, like I feel like I don't know if I can love again. I know I'll
Mhm.
get there, but like dealing with the hurt and everything that comes from it, it's like, man, like dude, like I just don't get that. Maybe I'm before my time or whatever you want to
No, you know
call it,
what?
but
Because you're
yeah.
processing. You're in the process. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
You have
yeah.
and which is crazy because women are supposed to be. I saw somebody else say this. Like okay, women and men, we're all
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be emotional. We should all be tapped into our emotions. But here we go again. You are in the era of strong, independent, boss babe women. They don't have time to
Mm-hmm.
be in their emotions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the things that you're doing after a breakup or a relationship is normal. Well,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's healthy and it should be normal. You know what I'm
For sure,
saying?
yeah.
It should be normal, but it's not. And that's why you feel like when you say that they have the love that's one size fits most, it's because with some of these women, you
Mm-hmm.
are replaceable. You are an
Yeah.
accessory. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about that. We did mention, and I've mentioned it before as well, that when it comes to the strong women, when it comes to the female empowerment era and what women, women leading in their masculinity and feeling that there are certain things that they need to attain to be powerful or whatever, some things have reversed. Before,
Mm-hmm.
say it was a man in corporate America, it looked good for him and it showed stability if he had a wife or if he was engaged, because
Mm-hmm.
it also showed the company, okay, if we give him this promotion, when they're up for promotion, if we give him this promotion, he is not going to leave for the next best deal because he has roots here. Why? Because he
Yeah.
has a wife. They'll probably be having kids, so he would have to uproot his family. So now you have women who are like, it's all a look. It's like, that's why I can love, it's not love. That's why I can like love you for a second when it suits me and when it benefits me.
Yeah.
Because you are now an accessory. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to constantly let you know in certain ways, low key, I really don't need you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you're optional. So that's why it doesn't feel special and it doesn't feel personal. And they can just hop from one to the next because it's a filler. It's like, oh, okay. I'm going to change my outfit. So today I'm going to change, I'm going to go grab this purse out my closet. You know what I'm saying? Because it looks good. It matches me.
Yeah.
But as soon as the real stuff starts to come up, and as soon as you have to have those uncomfortable conversations, and as soon as we have to shed light on some of the baggage, because we all have baggage, but some of the baggage that you need to let go of and that you need to heal from. And as soon as I shed light on the fact, and I'm not constantly compromising myself, and I'm like, well, look, babe, you're constantly telling me I need to work on stuff. You need to work on you. But it's hard, especially when they have their groups of friends, their tribe, who is operating in the same mental space that they are. So they're hyping them up. Girl can do no wrong or whatever. Yeah. So now it's like, oh, you turned your love off that quick? Yeah, because really, I never really loved you. You were just an option. It was a look. You were a look. You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk about this whole thing with now we have men are an accessory. Because that's what it is. It's not a real, it's like, well, no, now you make me look good. I got all this on my own. Now I'm going to be like, oh, this is my bae. We're going to have like the little matching coordinating outfits for the gram. Or if we have to go to an event or whatever. But I don't want to do any of the work. I'm not doing any of the work behind closed doors. We're just going to show up and smile. We're going to take some pictures. Oh, look at what he got me. Or we're on a trip. But there's no connection.
I've lost the whole relationship essentially centered around that at one point, like this idea that like they just want to. I mean, anybody who looks at my social media and like know what I do as a fighter, like there's a strong sense and requirement for like self-promotion, and like that's what I use my social media for. Like, you'd be hard pressed to go to my social media and find anything about like my personal life.
Right.
Like, you're not going to see me post very much about family members unless it's like a very special occasion. You're not going to look at my timeline and be able to see what I do on a daily basis outside of fighting and training and all that stuff. But I've come into dating, particularly women in this area, I've come into issues, and it's always been a big risk. Like I said, I pretty much lost a significant relationship, I feel, because of it, because of this idea. Like, when I come in, like, I let that be known that that is not important to me. Like, my relationship should be for me and the person I'm in a relationship with. If I put a ring on it or something, then maybe we can make some amendments and maybe switch up our approach. But if we're just dating and you're my girlfriend, you're not my wife, you're not my fiance, I shouldn't need to just put a picture on Instagram to make you feel secure in our relationship. Like, this idea that I'm spending, I have very limited free time, but if I'm spending 99% of my free time with you, and you don't feel like I'm here and I'm present in a relationship because I haven't posted you, like, maybe it's not something I'm doing, because I'm sitting here right here on the couch next to you, but we're arguing because I didn't put a picture up for my followers or your followers to see. Like,
because there's a disconnect. To show you off, like,
and I'm like,
show that we're like got a man.
Like, I show you off when we walk down the street. I walk behind you, girl. Like, you don't see like those actionable things. Like, yo, like, I am proud to be with you. I'll let you drive. I don't need, you know what I'm saying? Like, I show you off and I let you take control in areas because, one, I take pride in that. Like, for me, it's like, it's nice to know that I have a woman that I can feel like, one, represents me, two, that I feel safe about representing me when we're out in public, and like that can just generally be her.
She can handle her own. It's like, you know what? Neither one of us has to dim. Okay, so here's the thing. When it's healthy, I don't need to emasculate you. And then
Right.
also, you don't have to dim my light. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can let your woman shine when it's time for her to shine. You can let her, enter a room. You can look back and be like, oh, okay, because a real woman, you'll know that it makes you look good. It empowers you. But that's the thing when they get upset, it's because it's like, okay, accessories, clothes, designer bags, designer shoes. Okay, nothing wrong with that stuff. I have some of that stuff. But I have never been, and even when I was buying it excessively, it was never for other people. It was never to show other people off. You have a lot of people who cannot buy something without putting it on the gram. Okay? Because they want other people. Now, it's different if you're into style and stuff like that.
Right.
Or you want to show away like, oh, I just bought this new handbag and I want to show you, 10 different ways to wear it. That's completely different. But when you are posting it because you want to show it off for the shallow reasons, okay? For the reasons because you're insecure. So that's when it comes to women who get upset because you don't post them, or you're not taking a picture with them every 5 seconds so they can post. Even though you're right next to them and you have the intimacy and you have the connection and you're hanging out, people can't see that. Other people can't see that. Yeah. So that's when it's like this, it's the accessory thing. It's like, okay, I don't need a man, but I just want you here because it makes me look better. Yeah. And it matches, it matches the trending message. Yeah. Or whatever. It's just a whole look. It's not about the connection. It's not about the process, the relationship. Relationships take work. Like, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, it's going to be a battle. Not an unhealthy battle, but if we're growing individually and collectively, you are going to have, and you should have, uncomfortable conversations. I do not believe in relationships that do not have uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. I do not believe in relationships that don't have disagreements. Like,
try to have uncomfortable conversations like these days. It's like, man, you are just such a wild card, or you're.
Oh, wait, I am. When I tell you, I am so glad. That's why I wanted to have you on here, because when I'm looking at the comments and when I'm seeing some people that I know and I know how they really operate, and I'm seeing other things like, sis, this summer, we working on our bodies and we're healing. We greased up and oiling our scalps and just melanin as they come, and you do not even look in the mirror and hold yourself accountable. So I'm not writing that, but I'm thinking that, and I'm just like, but they're posting it, you know what I'm saying? And then people are attracted to it, but they're not living it. So when I'm out here talking about stuff, baby, I am living it. And some stuff, like, because I've known David for like a little bit, he knows like some of the growth, like that stuff is real deal. And it's ugly. I'm not going to only talk about it, but I am constantly doing the work every day. Every day I get up, there is work to be done on Avery. Every day you get up, there's work to be done on David. I could not imagine, and I'm going to keep saying it, being somebody in your position and dating. Yeah. I mean, women, we got a lot of, men have a lot of work to do. Now, here's that. Men have a lot of work to do too. People have a lot of work to do. We're human. Yeah. But the reason I'm going to say women, one, because I'm a woman. Yeah. And I'm not out here trying to change, or whatever. And women can lead by example. And we do it the right way. But the reason I'm saying women is because there are actual movements. There are movements. The female empowerment movement is backing women and supporting us and driving some of these misconceptions and these distortions and the toxic side and the downside of female empowerment. They think it's all empowerment, and nobody wants to shed light on the negative aspects of it and the effects of it and how it is entering homes and relationships and everything like that. So that's one of the reasons why I don't get on men as much as well. Also, because I'm not a man, and that's just not my position. But a lot of the things that I say can go for both. And I know what I'm doing when I'm out here talking, and it's opening men's ears. And you guys, everybody knows. Yes, some of my messages are for women, but it's for people also, because I do have men that are like, dang, like I didn't think of it that way. Or you're right. Or I'm going to take this and apply it to my life or whatever. But you all don't have a movement You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Backing you. We got movements backing women that's like, girl, no, you don't have to hold yourself accountable. No, you don't have to do any work. No, you don't have to heal. All you need to do is secure the bag. All you need to do is break glass ceilings. All you need to do is glow up. All you need to do is go on the girls' trips, lay in the sun, and dress yourself up and fix yourself up. These movements are backing us not holding ourselves accountable. They are backing us not really healing. They're backing us not dealing with the childhood trauma and the generational curses. And that's the problem. And that's what the effects that you're seeing when it comes to the relationships and the dating.
And me personally, I think these movements are necessary, to a degree. I mean, like men we've had a movement. If you just think of human history, like, right, our movement has been through wars and political gains and all of this stuff to where we have established a matriarchy, as the feminists, like to call it, and that's very real. But I think with the idea that like this woman empowerment movement, like I'll never denounce it. Like I'm all for it. I'm never gonna be that guy that's be like I'm a feminist, right? Because as a man, it's not my responsibility to say if I'm a feminist. I would need a woman to be able to tell me that. You know what I'm saying? But the old saying goes, right? With much responsibility, with much power comes like great responsibility. And so I think where the fault lies is the execution. So when women they see these phrases, whether it's a meme or they're listening to someone prominent, say all of these things, get your money, be about your bag, become self-independent, like that is not wrong. But what happens is the true message, whether it be a lack of like articulation on the part of whoever's like outputting the the empowerment or such, gets lost in translation because like some women will hear that, hurt women hear that, and then they internalize it, and then they it goes into their brain and gets processed and jumbled up and it gets spit out as something totally different, to where someone may just be speaking about getting the bag, getting the money, controlling your time, whatever you want to put. But then someone who has deficiencies, a woman who has deficiencies in those areas, will attribute that to, get it. When they hear get your bag, get your money, focus on your career, they may have been in a relationship to where they have been very submissive and they didn't feel like they were living in their truth. So then they internalize it and then they kick that into overdrive. And therefore you have a balance, right? Because too much of anything is bad, no matter what we're talking about. Too much of anything is bad, and then you get put into these positions to where you're kind of running like a red queen's race. It's like you're running and running and running, and you're putting the empowerment in, you're getting the bag, your career's intact, your social life is going, but just when it comes to relationships, damn, like why am I not getting anywhere? I'm talking to this guy, and then I'm finding a problem here. I'm talking to this guy, then I'm finding a problem here. I'm getting on social media, dating apps or whatever, and that's not working out for me. It's because you don't want to take inventory of what the true issue is.
Yeah, the message is getting lost in translation. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, that's personally how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm onto something. Who knows? But just from what I've seen and living in the day and age of social media, that's what it looks like to me.
And like you said, social media, pop culture, whatever. And that's another thing. Before we close, all for the empowerment. Okay, I'm for empowering people. I don't feel like anybody should dim their light. I don't feel like anybody should be told they can't go after something. But also with the empowerment movements, the female empowerment movements, not only are the messages getting lost in translation and certain hurt women are hearing them, the messages, but you also have a lot of hurt women leading these empowerment movements. Okay. So, because could you imagine me leading a woman empowerment movement? It's going to sound completely different. It's going to sound just like this because I'm not hurt. But if y'all would have got with me about 6 years ago, 5 years ago,
hey, you would have went viral.
My empowerment
Yeah,
movement, it
yeah,
would have been very one-sided like all the
yeah,
other ones. But my
yeah.
empowerment movement, you know what? I need like thousands of people to get behind me, and I should start another side of the empowerment movement, but the real empowerment movement, because mine would have nothing to do with securing the bag. It would have nothing. Now, not that I'm against that, but there's enough of those focusing on that. So it's like, okay, girl, we already got that covered.
Yeah.
What we don't have covered, how many female empowerment movements or platforms are talking about, like Scott said, and like we talk about, being responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Being responsible for your healing, being accountable, looking in the mirror. That's what my platform would be. If we're talking about real woman empowerment and female empowerment, it's going to be, okay, we're going to have a mirror on the wall challenge, which I've thought about doing. We're going to do, a 14-day challenge or, whatever, 14-day challenge. Women sign up and we're looking in the mirror. I don't care what Pookie did. I don't care what Bob did. I don't care what David did. I don't care. We are looking in the mirror and we are working on ourselves. You cannot blame anybody. We are getting out of the victim mindset. And I hate to say it, even if it's something from your childhood, it's not that I'm ignoring that, but I can't do anything about something that has already happened. Yes. We are working on you at this moment in this day and age. When you look in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? What are you going to do about it? One of the reasons I have been a little bit silent when it comes to some of my live streams is because there's been a lot going on with, we had the case, the verdict that came down for George Floyd and all of that. And as a mother, I felt what I felt. But then as a woman, I'm like, dang, like we're talking about accountability and this and that. But I'm like, I didn't have anything nice to say. I had some very harsh words for a lot of people. And I probably, would have gotten in trouble for it, which is totally fine. That means that I'm doing something honest. But it's like, at what point and I'm speaking, like I said, for women, because like I said, we have these movements that are backing this ridiculousness, that are backing women not holding themselves accountable, that are backing women not being responsible. We're responsible for our healing. We're responsible for our feelings. We are responsible for the way we react to being triggered. We are responsible for all of this. So at what point, hold on a second. If you guys didn't know, I grew up Catholic. That's to make sure I don't say anything. I don't drop a bad word. But at what point do we stop? Do we stop that bull? And do we look in the mirror and be like, you know what, girl, get your together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally will not forget the moment. I had got out the shower, I'm sitting there like, whatever, this was years back. I looked in the mirror and I was like, grow the F up. Like, you got work to do. Forget all of them. You got work to do. You got to put in work. And you know what? Everything. Once I started doing that, whether it was therapy, prayer, therapy, I had a counselor, I had a psychiatrist, I was journaling, like I think Shirley mentioned. I was doing all types of stuff. When I started putting in the work, everything changed. Everything changed, and then nobody changed, but I changed. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So at what point do we have a movement that's like, you know what? Wake the F up. You know what I'm saying? Look in the mirror and work on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Look in the mirror and hold yourself accountable. Stop blaming this person. Stop blaming that person. What can you do for yourself? How can you heal? How can you deal? How can you do things, work on yourself that will positively impact your life and all of those around you? Because once I started to change, everything, like I said, everything changed. But then all those people I wanted to blame, none of them changed.
Yeah.
I mean, but what changed is how they interact with me, because I'm not the same. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not the same. That's the real level up. That's the real glow up.
It's a universal law, right? It's not what happens to you in life that matters or that's most important. It's like how you choose to deal with it and how you choose to live in it. Right. And so, kind of like you said, like you did that work, you dug deep within yourself. You sounds like you broke yourself down, and we've had
Mm-hmm.
talks over the years where
Right.
we both kind of been, with each other and talked about some stuff, and um, like in a superficial world though, like that's scary because the society we live in, everything's just so superficial, and no one is truly looking at the true version of themselves and who they really are. Like me
Mm-hmm.
as a man, the best way I can identify that, like I am a man that essentially comes from a broken home.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with abuse in my childhood growing up. I didn't
Yep.
have always the best circumstances, but does that give me the right to go out here and be angry? And when I work with the youth and I mentor the youth, does that give me the right to go out there and tell them like, hey, the world doesn't give a shit about what you're going through. Go be angry and go be toxic. Like I lived in that for a little bit and I exercised it in certain ways. Particularly with me in the past, it was like within women in my relationships. Like how
Mm-hmm.
ironic right now that there's been times where you had to correct me on some shit, in the
Right.
past, and then the fact that years later we can come together and sit here and have the conversation that we're having is like a testament to that. Like
Mm-hmm.
at some point, I came to a point where I'm like, yo, I can't keep living in my trauma. I can't keep living in my past. Like I got to be present, and so that's been the
Yes.
most important thing for me. Over all things, whether it's in relationships or just in my daily life, is to be present, as present as I can possibly be, but then also communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it get lost because there's two sides of communication. There's communication and comprehension. So sometimes the message and the things I try to say don't always come across the way I would like them to, or they're not always received in the way that I thought they would. But once you reach that level of awareness and intelligence, and you do that work within yourself, it makes it easy to accept people for who they are, and
Right.
accept that everyone just has limitations,
Mm-hmm.
and it allows you to continue and walk in your purpose and do what you need to do, and not feel the need to like look back and be like,
Right.
dang, what could I do better? Or, oh, did I do something right? Or
Mm-hmm.
no, because I'm walking in my purpose. Like I've done the work. I've stripped my armor off. I put it back on. I polished it up nice, and I'm gonna get some dings along the way. That's just life. What is life if we don't go through trials and tribulations? But at the end of the day, it's that constant pursuit of of happiness and pursuit of progress amongst all things. And
Yes. The
once you
pursuit of
reach a
progress. Yeah.
once you reach a certain level, it's just like you're almost untouchable.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm there now, but I feel like I'm getting there because I make people mad by just not reacting sometimes because it's like I see you. I see who you are,
That's
and
why you're
I
gonna be
know,
single forever. No, I'm just
but
kidding.
but,
I'm
but
joking. I'm just kidding.
most importantly,
Because
like
you see too, because you're seeing them, and if it's somebody that don't want to hold themselves accountable, if it's somebody
yeah,
who's not walking in their purpose, not walking in their truth, not doing the
yeah,
healing, not like you talked about being
yeah,
aware, being present. I am going to
yeah,
be praying for because I know there are women out there like that.
mm,
For one of them to be able to one day collide with you because you all would do amazing things together for sure.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But most most importantly, just to kind of put it into that, most importantly, like amongst the backdrop of me seeing them and seeing people, like I'm not so narcissistic that I don't see myself and I don't
Yes.
see my flaws, and like that's the only way I can see other people. And I
Mm-hmm.
put that out there because like that's what I would want from a partner. I want a
Yeah.
partner, I want someone that sees me. Like when I'm
Mm-hmm.
bullshitting, call me on it. Like,
Yes.
hey, I'm not gonna get offended. Like, hey, that's and not even just for me, but for the people that are looking up to me. I got
Yes.
younger sisters, I got younger nephews and nieces, and like I want to be able to for them to be able to and look up and
Mm-hmm.
see what I didn't see when I was little. I didn't necessarily see a healthy dynamic within relationships. That wasn't modeled to me necessarily in the household. So yeah, I mean, it's bigger than me, but like all I can do is control me and see me and just hope that putting that energy out there, that it comes back to me, hopefully tenfold. I want to meet
Yes.
somebody that's more aware, more present than I'll probably ever be. Hopefully one day it'll happen.
Well, baby, we're
But
gonna keep pushing the
I'm not.
envelope on this, being present. I'm gonna being responsible, being self-aware, holding themselves accountable, because that's what that's what real empowerment is. It is all of those things. It's not just securing the bag. It's not just the degree. It's not just that. Yes, that is a form, but that's not. That can change a little bit, but it's about all the stuff that people can't see. That real hard work, the stuff that is priceless. You can't put a price tag based on the work that I you can't put a price tag on it. You know what I'm saying? It nothing to do with it ain't have nothing to do with no college degree. You ain't have anything to do with no money, securing the bag, tapping in, no WAP, no nothing.
Oh no! Don't bring Cardi B into this.
No, but that's not.
I don't want her going off on me on Twitter.
You all should see. Wait, you just see the person that helps me with same team behind the scenes. He's like, but no, that's what people are putting value and stuff on. Even Rod said real quick, and then I'm gonna go over our closing points really quick. He said, "Now I blame the man. If a woman sees." And all he requires of her is to have a nice body and a cute face, and he offers her the world, and she takes it and leaves. Yeah, I mean, very true. And some people are down with that. Like you said, we do. We are in an era where people care about that. It's just all the very surface and superficial things. This is just a testament to you, David. Scott said, David, you are on the divine path. This is the way. I love my people in here. And then really quick,
what? I'm liking your people too.
They are dope, babies. Come on over. Scott, same team. Same
Scott, work, I do what I can, a day at a time. I'm definitely not perfect. I haven't hurt some people. I haven't hurt myself, but I just try to do better.
Because you're human. You're a human. So, that's what makes us. That's what makes us human. But that's what makes us. That's the beautiful thing. That's what makes us better. Is that I'm sure that's probably why most of these people on here are people who are honest with themselves. You know what I'm saying? And who have been honest with themselves, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And really quick before we leave, we've talked about the downside and the negative effects of the female empowerment era movement. And when it comes to dating and relationships, I had a few takeaways because there is an upside. There is an upside to this. Like you said, we're not against female empowerment. But we're about real overall empowerment. And that is the responsibility. That is the healing. That is the accountability. That is the real empowerment, the real power. Women who lead in their masculinity, learn to turn it off. I know it will be a process, but you are going to have to learn how to flip that switch if you want to be in a healthy, balanced relationship. Okay. And everybody's balance is going to look different. And yes, there are going to be times where your man have to, tap into his feminine side, or you may have to tap into your masculine side, but a healthy balance, the natural way. Women, we have the power within us. So I know I spoke with David before, and there were a few things that we wanted to kind of put out there before we get off really fast. And one of them is, believe it or not, you can be strong and you can be vulnerable. That's the real strength. That's where your power, your power resides in your vulnerability. Your power resides in your femininity. Ladies, men are also, like David said, they are attracted to successful women. They are attracted to goal-oriented women, but they are also attracted to women who can look themselves in the mirror. Women who can tap into that feminine energy and that feminine power. Men love it. Ladies, I'm trying to tell you, it's like a moth to a flame. That's what you tap in. That's what you need to tap into. You're tapping into the wrong stuff. You need to tap into that feminine energy. We talked about the balance. David, one of the things you said is that I am not their opponent. Okay. I am not your enemy. Do you feel like that would be a good takeaway, to let these women know, like, hey, we're not your opponents. Like, it's not that.
At the end of the day, no matter what happens, like, you're always going to be your biggest opposition. I know people are in toxic relationships, and I'm not like discrediting that at all, but that just comes down to a certain level of accountability too. It's like, why are you in this situation? And I get it. It's way harder than that, and I don't want to. I tread lightly on that topic because I don't want to say the wrong thing and have anyone feel any kind of way. But your partner specifically, I guess the person that you choose to go through life with, whether it's for a second or a season, that person should never be your opposition at any point. Yeah, for
What
sure.
team should they be on, David?
They should be on the same team, man.
The same
It's easy.
team.
Let's put it together so the millennials can get it. Hashtag same team. So
Right.
everybody can.
Hashtag same team.
Yeah.
Same team. So to my empowered women, the real power, responsibility, accountability, healing, realizing that these men are not trying to dim your light. But they, they need a partner. They're not out here trying to be in a battle with you. It shouldn't be a tug of war. You need to learn how to, how to listen. You need to open up your ears. You need to open up your heart. You need to take your armor off. You need to do all of these things. Be a woman. Get in with that feminine energy and all of that. And still secure the bag. Still get your degree. You can have it all. Okay. You can have it all. Really quick. So this is same team. David will actually be back. We have some other things to talk about. David's actually coming back for a discussion on dating. And, some people have asked him, do you date Black women? Are there any?
I can't wait to talk about this one, man.
So we're talking. I know that's the thing where right. A lot of women are like, "Well, you all don't even respect. You don't even love us. You don't even support us. You don't even date us." But you have to think. Some of us are not in the spaces that some of these men are in. So it's like, how can they find? So we're gonna bring David back for that discussion. The whole thing, with dating, Black women. Does he date Black women? If he does not, if he has not in a while, why not? But he's going to give the real truth, not the things. There's a lot of women, we just take it, we see it, and we're like, oh, you all don't like Black women. You always want to date outside your race. That's actually, ask a man. That's not always it. A lot of them love us. They might not love all our ways, but some of them are just not around us. I can't be everywhere. No, I'm kidding. All right. But really quick, David, I know you don't have a lot of free time. I know Sundays are your day off from training. Thank you very much. So hopefully this message does not fall on deaf ears and some women can hear it. Hopefully it even let some men realize that, hey, I'm not the only one if I'm feeling this way. It's me too. I'm kind of coming across these women and I'm seeing some of the same patterns and trends. But I wanted to give this review because, women do love customer reviews. Before we order clothes or food, we will read what did they say? Well, how was their experience? But I want women to hear about the experience and what a man is really out there, noticing. And it's not to get on them, but it is to get on them. You know what I'm saying? It's no, this is real. These are the things that we're noticing or whatever. And yes, we love you and we want to love you. But look, these are some things that you all, need to work on. So thank you for joining us. For the people that joined for the actual live, thank you very much. I absolutely love you guys. I appreciate you all. Don't forget, if you want to show your support, you can do it through hitting that subscribe button. You can do it through Cash App, through PayPal, through follow me on Instagram, following David. David, what is your I know not everybody that's on YouTube is actually on Instagram, but his is, what is it? At Fighting David.
At Fighting David, yes, that's my Instagram.
At Fighting David, but he will actually be back. I think next Sunday. We'll have to confirm that, but he may be back about dating Black women, that whole thing. So he's definitely coming back. But yes, thank you. Oh, hold on, I'll put you on the screen. Why can I get this on the screen? Oh, there it goes. Oh, thank you so much. Super grateful for these life-changing and enlightening gems. Avery, David, everyone on the same team. Yes, the comments. I love the people. I love seeing you all's comments. I like to go back and read them. But yeah, have an amazing rest of your Sunday. Have a great week. And I will be jumping in on YouTube probably sometime this week to, leave a little video or whatever. And we will be back next Sunday.
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me. Yeah, I just want to say, thanks for having me. Everyone, thanks for, listening and tuning in. It was actually pretty therapeutic for me just to be able to talk to you, Avery, as it always has been, over the years. So awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to coming back and having some great conversations, some great discussions. And I can't wait to hear the feedback.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Peace.